In the interest of time, because I know Patrick's got a tight schedule, and as always, I can't thank him enough for joining us and teaching us. And it is always a pleasure. I have a bit of an announcement when it comes to Mr. Chamberlain. He is going to be a dad here. When's the due date, Patrick?
July 22nd.
July 22nd, a little girl. I have a feeling the tech club may have to get a congratulation card going or something back then, but we'll work on that down the road. Don't tell Patrick. So, congratulations, though. We're really happy for you. Patrick's always a great presenter, and I know he has to leave shortly after, so we're going to get started, and I will turn the meeting over to him. And thank you again, Patrick Chamberlin. The wonderful world of Google is yours.
Awesome. All right. Hey guys, how have you been? It's been about a couple months. Who's heard of Google? Everybody, right? So one big question I saw in the email that Tim sent out is, how does Google make money? What are they worth and all that jazz? So what do you think the value of Google is as a corporation?
Well, these are working
You got a
today.
link to join.
Any guesses of how much?
And you didn't.
No
What?
guess.
What?
Would you say it's more or less than $1 trillion?
I don't know. Why does it matter?
So Google is worth $1.37 trillion. They are the fourth largest company in the world when it comes to volume. Last
I
year,
expect you to pass some kind of a notepad if we have to take some info down.
oh, say that again?
I think that was an inadvertent mic.
Oh, okay. Last year they made $183 billion. Who here has paid Google for a search result? Nobody. So how in the heck do they make all that money? It comes down to one of my favorite quotes. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So Google is making money off of the searches that you guys do through advertising that they charge businesses. So why does Google make so much money? Well, Google is the #1 most visited website on the internet. The #2 most visited website on the internet is YouTube, which is owned by Google. So essentially Google owns the internet. So if somebody wants to advertise on the internet, Google is going to get their money. Last year, there was 92.5 billion searches on Google per month. On YouTube was 34.6 billion visitors per month. So over a year, you're having 1.5 trillion users. So let's plug in a search. I'm gonna start sharing the screen if I have that right.
This is a resident in St. Mauro.
No,
Can we see my screen?
baby.
Do you guys see my screen?
We
Yes.
see it, Patrick.
All right. So what is something that we want to search as an example? Anyone just shout something out. Let's see. Tim is a real estate agent. So let's see. Tucson real estate. No ads popped up. What? That was it. So we searched homes for sale in Tucson, Arizona. The first 4 searches, these are paid advertising. So these may not be the best results. These may not be relevant, but somebody is paying money to Google for these to pop up first. So what a lot of people do is that they search and then they just wander past the ads and they click on the first relevant, what we call organic search. The cost for these to pop up, just to let you know, is on app to show up. They don't cost the person any money. It's only when you click on it that charges money to the person. When you click on it, it typically costs $1 or $2 to the advertiser. So since I'm a real estate agent as well, it's really fun to come in here and just click on my competition's ads and charge them money. But so this is the main way that Google makes money, is off advertising. Of that $183 billion they made last year, 83% of it was from people clicking on these ads. So don't get caught up in these ads when you search. Down here is going to be your better results. So Google makes money here, but how does Google determine who comes up on the actual searches? This is what we call search engine optimization. Google has an algorithm that they use to determine what shows up first. There's over 200 criteria that Google uses to rank a website. A lot of companies spend a lot of money trying to figure out that algorithm, because Google will not share it to anybody. It's their bread and butter. What's crazy about this algorithm is that it changes 500 to 600 times a year. So on average, twice a day, the algorithm is actually changing. During the last election, Google got some heat because some people thought they were censoring things based on certain things not coming up on their searches. And that was just due to them making an adjustments to their algorithm. The big three things that make a website pop up first, or why Google thinks that a website is better than another. The main criteria is how many websites link to that website and how many links this website has to another website. They also use content. And so these websites here use the word homes for sale in Tucson a lot on their website. And so Google says this is a relevant page to your search. Another way they do it is they track how long you spend on certain websites. And so if you spend a lot of time on Zillow.com, Zillow is going to rank higher on the search. So that's mainly how they determine who comes up first and who doesn't. Have I lost anybody? No? Okay. Let's see. So how does Google sell these ads to people? Well, Google tracks everything. They own, like I said earlier, they own the internet. So every time you search for something, every time you go to a certain website, Google is tracking all that information. And so they're using that information and selling it to advertisers to say, we're only going to show your ads to people who are relevant to you. One big announcement that Google did about a week ago is that they announced that they are no longer going to be selling ads based on your browsing history. So for years and years, Google has made money by saving your searches and understanding who you are by what you're searching. But Google has been under a lot of hot water from the US government and the European Union. And so they're trying to avoid any regulations from those governments by self-imposing this new rule for themselves. So that was announced a week ago. It's going to start in April. So it'll be interesting to see how Google's going to continue to make money, because we know they're not going to make that announcement and stop making money. So they're still going to find a way to track your data. They're just not going to use their search history. I know privacy is a big thing out there right now. So I'm going to show you guys how to put more privacy settings on your web use. So if you use Google Chrome, which is Google's web browser, the three dots on the top right, if you click there, you can use what they call an incognito window. Here, it's going to say that it won't track your browsing history. It won't leave any cookies on your website. So cookies are used by the internet to save data on websites that you've been to. So Amazon uses this a lot. You go to Amazon, Amazon puts a cookie on your computer that says you've been to their website, and then now you're going to see whatever you search on Amazon everywhere else that you go on the internet. They do that by using cookies. So if you use the incognito web browser, it won't track that. So you'll prevent them from tracking your websites that you go to. One thing that I like to use incognito for is if I'm logging on to a computer that's not my home computer, like if I'm going to the tech lab at Sunflower, and you want to log into your Facebook, or if you want to log into your Gmail accounts, you can, if you use incognito, it won't save your passwords or it won't save your email, so that when you X out of the browser, you're completely logged out of those accounts. You don't have to worry about logging out or forgetting to log out and then having someone else have access to your sensitive data. So again, that's called incognito. It's up here on the top right if you use Google Chrome, called incognito window. If you guys use Microsoft Edge for your browser, they call it in private window. If you use Safari or Firefox, it's called private window. And they all do the same thing. They won't track your browsing history. They won't track the websites, and they'll log you out automatically and not save your passwords on any accounts. Cool. All right. So besides Google searches, Google has a lot of, or let's go into some things that Google can do that a lot of people don't know, or some search tips. Google searches work better if you are not, don't ask it yes and no questions, use open-ended questions. So an example is, you don't want to ask, does an octopus have 8 legs? You would get better results if you asked, how many legs does a octopus have? So you don't want to include your answer in the search. Open-ended questions are better. When you are searching, you want to start with a broad search and then slowly narrow it down if you're not getting the results. So we can go like homes for sale. There's 11 trillion results. Google knows my location, so they know I'm looking in Tucson or Marana. But now let's say we didn't get what we wanted, so now we can go in Marana. Okay, maybe we didn't get what we want, so homes for sale in Sunflower. So then you're going to just get houses that are for sale in Sunflower based on these websites. So if you start broad, you want to slowly narrow it down. It's a lot easier to work with versus going narrow and working out. One thing I like to use Google for is I'm a horrible speller. And so I will just type in a word that I can't spell, and Google will tell me how to spell it. So let's do incognito. And Google will just say, here's how you spell it. It'll correct your spelling. It'll also give you it can also give you a definition. So just type define incognito. And then now Google is a dictionary. Whenever I get a client who speaks Spanish and I don't, I use Google Translate. So Google Translate, you can type in, how are you? And then you can pick for 125 something different languages.
I got this on me.
So German, there you go. And then if you don't know how to pronounce it,
Wie geht es Ihnen?
Google will read it out for you. So that's a fun thing that Google can do. Let's see what else. If you're searching a search and you want to put emphasis on a word, you want to put the plus sign next to that word. Google will put an emphasis on this, and will websites that use the word Tucson will be towards the top of the list versus websites that don't use Tucson. If you're looking for a certain book or a certain phrase, if you want to keep those words together on your Google search, you're going to want to use parentheses. So let's do like catcher in the rye. So if you put parentheses around that, it's not going to give you results that just have rye bread or just the word catcher in it. It's going to only search for websites that have the actual phrase catcher in the rye. So to do that, again, just put parentheses around the search. I'm also notorious for not knowing the lyrics to words, or listening to a song and not knowing what the song is. So you can type in the lyrics to a song. If you don't know a word, you can use the asterisk to replace that word. What's a song lyric, Tim? What are you thinking? Oh, I got one.
Okay.
Just small.
Rocket Man's one I can never remember.
Living in a, and I'm gonna pretend I don't know this word. I'm gonna do the asterisk. World. And Google will replace that word in the search that it believes what it is. So the song is not called Just a Small Town Girl, it's called Don't Stop Believing. So you can do that with lyrics. You can do that with quotes if you're trying to figure out who said this quote or what the actual quote is for something. You can do, you can search, you can use Google to search another site. Like let's do, we can do, so say we're looking for something for sale on Home Depot, right? We can go to Home Depot, we can go to Home Depot itself and then do the search and do all these steps. Or we can go back to Google, and if we go type in the word site, the website, and then now we can search whatever we want to. So now it's only going to give me results from Home Depot with Title 4. So you can do this on with any website. Say that you really don't like Home Depot, and so you want to find a website that's similar to Home Depot that's not Home Depot. So we can do related homedepot.com. Now it's going to show you homedepot.com. Interesting. Let's try, it's another website.
Try Lowe's.
Lowe's. I don't know if that'll work either. Too big of a website.
Is that it?
Let's do LinkedIn. Well, scratch that.
We'll work on that one.
We'll work on that one.
See ya.
Cool. Another thing that a lot of us do is we get tracking numbers for packages and we don't know what to do with them, or we have to go to USPS.com, or is it a FedEx, or is it UPS? I have the tracking number, but I forgot who's mailing it. You can just type in the tracking number into Google and it'll track that package. Google will look at the tracking number and it'll just know if it's UPS, FedEx, or USPS. And then on the screen, it'll tell you where the packing is, Where are the packages? If any of us are trying to help our grandkids with their math problems and we don't remember math, we can type in the certain problem of like what's 17 divided by 7. And it'll give you a calculator and it'll show you what the answer is. Maybe you're doing the quadratic formula and you're like, what is that formula? Well, you can Google it and they'll tell you what the formula is here. And instead of just wanting to give them the answer, you can search like lesson, and then it'll give you videos to help teach them that. Instead of them coming to you, you can just say, here, watch this. We talked about translating. So everyone's familiar with Google searches, but Google actually has a whole bunch of different other products. Oh, before I get to that, this was a cool one. I like this. It's called flights.google. So Google Flights, you can type in where you're going, your destination and where you're traveling from, the dates, and it'll show you cheap flights on every airline except Southwest. So say you want to fly. And then one cool thing about this is that you click on the date you want to leave, and then it'll tell you which day to fly back is the least expensive. So if you're trying to find a flight that's on a budget, this is a good way to do it if you're not picky on the airlines. So if I fly back on a Sunday, it's going to cost $1,200. But if I fly back on Wednesday, it's going to cost $681. When I click on those, it'll give me all the flight information on here, who the airline is, the departure times, how many stops. And then if you find the 2 flights that you want, you click on them, and then they take you to the website of that flight to book those flights. I used this 2 years ago. My wife and I went to Dublin, and we got a round trip ticket for both of us, was less than $800. So if you're wanting to travel places once COVID's over, Google Flights is an awesome tool to find cheap flights. All right, back to Google. So besides Google searches, so you can search for websites. You can do maps. One cool thing about Google Maps, even if you know how to get somewhere in Tucson, Google Maps will have live traffic. And so it may find you the faster route, a way that you typically don't go. This happened, I actually went to a wedding on Sunday and I-10 was closed. And so we told everyone to Google the venue, and it took them up Silver Bell instead of up I-10. And it saved people 30 minutes. So even if you know where you're going, you know how to get there, sometimes it helps just to plug it into Google and it'll give you a better route, the quickest route there. It'll also give you a time estimate of when you're going to get there. On top of that, you can also search images on Google. How are we doing? 10:24. Are we still there? I don't have a lot of interaction in this lesson. It's more of just.
We're looking for a new sunflower logo for the Tech Club desktop. How's that?
All right, let's do that. Sunflower logo. So we're going to go to images. And here's a bunch of sunflowers that you guys can get an idea from. One thing to know about images on Google is that just because they show up on a public search on Google does not give you ownership of that image. And so some of these may be copyrighted and you could have that issue. Chances of getting caught, slim to none, but legally, that's the law.
I've also noticed a lot of times they're just an advertisement. When you try to download the image, they will charge you
Yeah. Yep.
when I do a Google.
So here is, so click on this one. It's a shutterstock.com. So it's going to charge you to download this, this image. When you're searching too, maybe you want a really big image. You don't want something that's small that's going to get pixelated. You can come up here and you can do by certain size of the image. Or maybe you don't want a yellow sunflower. Maybe you want a purple sunflower. And so now they're going to pull up ones that have purple in it. Maybe you want a GIF, a moving image, or maybe you want something that that you have license. You can use without copyrights. You have multiple options to search down here. Also, if you're tired of searching to buy things on Amazon, you can use Google Shopping, and it'll search different websites for the best price if you're shopping for something online. So that's pretty much searching on Google. Is there any questions about searching on Google? Any best practices or anything?
Yeah, Patrick, how would I want to save this particular episode? How do I put it in, what would you call it, a playlist, so that I could go back to it later and re-listen to it?
Yeah, so for this Zoom call?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I believe Tim is recording it. So after the call, Tim should have a file that he has. And if he wants to share it to somebody, that actually transitions right into where I was going. So thank you, Stanley.
One thing that I never knew about Google, and if you can review it because a few joined us late, is when you do your initial just generic search for anything, that the first 4 or 5 items are going to be paid. And I never understood that actually the first or second item under the page may be your best local option, because part of the search Google uses is to your proximity. So if you're looking for a pizza place close and you type in pizzas, you will probably get Twin Peaks Pizza, even if they aren't advertising. But when you look at your search and you see those first few items that say add on top, that means somebody's paying, if you click on it anyway, as Patrick explained. So you're being fed that, where if you get below the ads, that's generated by reviews and location. So the better the reviews, the more they're going to come to the top, and the closer they are to your location, the closer they are to the top, if they aren't ads. Am I right, Patrick?
Correct. So I'm trying to find a search that's going to pop up some ads right now. Google's kind of messing with me. They must know I'm ratting on them right now.
Yeah, they're listening to everything we're saying, I guarantee.
Pretty much, yeah. So typically what he was saying is that right here, if you can see my cursor, it would have bold lettering that said ad here and here. And those are paid by these websites to show up first. And say we had 4, I would skip past those and then go to the first, second, or third options down here that weren't paid. And those are probably going to be better results than the ones that say ads. But if you want to screw with your competitors, it's always fun to click on those as well. That
I have a comment.
Yeah, please.
A feature that you didn't mention that is kind of neat is the ability to share your location on Google Maps. My daughter travels a lot, and that's the way I keep track of her. And apparently, you have to have a Google account, it seems like, and then it's key to your Google account. So you have to log into Google Maps using your Google account. The person that's sharing will send you sharing information, but then you have to log in with your account on Google Maps to actually see where that person is. But that's kind of interesting if you want to keep track of family members or whoever, your dog. Maybe you can make your dog put a satellite GPS collar on your dog.
Right. Yeah. That's going to be interesting when my daughter turns 16, starts driving. Maybe I can track where she's sneaking out to.
Probably.
Yeah. Google, you can also track your history of where you drive every month. This is helpful for me as a real estate agent. I use it to track my mileage. After every month, it tells me how many miles I've driven and where I've been. Again, it just comes down to your privacy settings of, do you want Google to track where you're going?
Do you have to have GPS access on your vehicle to do that, Patrick, or how does that?
It
Or-
tracks your phone.
On your phone, okay.
So if I ride in your car, if I ride in my car, it's still going to track where I've been.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you've been writing mileage off when you're riding in my car.
Yep.
I got it. I got it.
All right. So besides Google search, Google has a lot of different products. So I'm just going to go through these. We're all familiar with Gmail, I'm assuming.
If there isn't any, if you aren't, please speak up and he'll stop and explain it. If you don't know what Gmail is, speak up.
Okay. So we're going to go to Google Drive. Whenever you have a Google account, meaning that you have a Google email address, with that email address, you have automatically 30 gigabytes of cloud storage. So another way that Tim can do this with sharing this video is if he has a Google account, he can upload this video to the Tech Club's Google Drive, and then he can just share it to all the members, and all the members would get an email with a link to the Tech Club's Drive, and you can go and access all the stuff that Tim has uploaded to that file. Sounds like it just gave Tim some homework. What do you guys think? I think so. So again, you have 30 gigabytes, which is a lot of data. It's cool because you can just go to something and click on it, and you can just share it to somebody. So you can upload family photos, you can do videos, you can do documentation, you can do contracts or anything that you guys deal with and share it to other people by just clicking on what you want to share and then typing in here who you want to send it to, and then hit done. It'll send them a link and they automatically have access to them. You don't have to email it. You don't have to do anything crazy. You just upload it by hitting new and then upload from here. Any questions about Google Drive? Yeah, okay. So the next products that Google offers is what they call Google Docs. You guys are tired of paying for Microsoft Office? Believe it or not, you have a free version of it with your Google account. Google just calls it Docs instead of Word. So it's going to look very similar to a Word document. You still have all your texts, your highlighting abilities, your spacing, all that stuff. And then you can, when you type something up, you can either save it to your computer or you can save it to your Google Drive. One benefit of saving it to that Google Drive, what if you're at home and you're typing something up and then you want to head down to the Sunflower Tech or Computer Lab? You can log into your Google account and you will have access to that document. So you don't need to put it on a thumb drive. You don't need to email it to yourself. By just saving it to the Google Drive, you have access to it to any computer that you can access your Google account. In addition to Google Docs, they have Google Sheets. Got to pronounce that one correctly. Google Sheets. which is their version of Excel. So it probably looks very similar to Excel. If you guys are really heavy on the programming of Excel, if you guys use Excel, when I say that, I mean like the equals and then typing in information like that. It is a little bit different on Google, but for the most part, this is for what you're going to use it for 99% of the time. It's going to be the exact same thing as Microsoft Excel. Same thing, you can save it to your computer, or you can save it to your drive. It automatically saves to your drive, so you can access it from anywhere you go.
You know, one thing we ran into, and Jenny, speak up if you can add to this. Jenny did some work on Google Drive and it didn't seem to save. And isn't Google an automatic save? Doesn't it automatically save your work?
Yes. So it should automatically save. The location that it's saved might be at an obscure location.
So we might have just put it in the wrong place rather than not having it saved.
Correct. And then you can go back to a Google search. And you should be able to search my Google Docs. And then if you have any Google Docs saved, it should pop up here. I don't use Google Docs, but in this search, you should have a link to your.
So Patrick, what we're talking about is one of their sheets.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there were like 5 or 6 sheets on the file, and every month I would add something to that because it was a yearly sheet. And so I added January and February, and I went back here in March, and January and February are gone now. So where would I go to find that?
So when you open up your sheets, it should just give you a list of every sheet that you've ever had. So this goes back to February of 18 for me. It should be in here somewhere. It'll show up here no matter where it is saved. If it's been made previously, it'd be in here.
It's in there somewhere, huh?
It should be in there somewhere. And then if you accidentally deleted it, you should go into your drive and then trash. And then it'll be in your trash.
Maybe it's in there. Okay, I'll look there.
Another issue, and I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole, Patrick, but a lot of us with clubs will use a separate Google account for our clubs, like Tech Club does, and then we'll have our own personal accounts, and sometimes navigating between the two, and I know you've even helped me navigating between our Sunflower Tech Club Google account and YouTube, even though they're owned by the same company, do have different logons. So I don't know if you're planning on touching on that, and I don't want to get us too far off the tracks, but
yeah. So when I personally, I have 3 email addresses. So I have 3 Google accounts. And so I'm constantly switching back and forth between those accounts. Sometimes you'll think you saved one in one drive, but it's actually in another drive. And so if you go up to the top right corner where it says Google, you click there, and then you should have your other accounts here. And if it's not there, you can click add another account and then log into that account. After you log into it, it should appear over here. So this is my other personal email. So I just clicked on that email address, and now it popped up the drive for my personal email. So that's going to be the same for every Google product. So if you're at YouTube, you're going to have a picture of you, or it could be just be the letter of your first name if you don't have a profile picture. And then you can go to switch accounts. And then if you have another YouTube account, it'll appear below that. And then you click on that, and then it'll show you those searches. So that's how you switch back and forth between different Google accounts if you have multiple. Sometimes, so like for instance, for me, I have a real estate team and I have a folder in my drive, and then I shared this folder with other members of my team. And so you could do that with Tech Club. Tim can go into his own drive, make a file that says Sunflower Tech Club. In that file, he can upload documents for Tech Club. And then if that file is shared, or that folder is shared with you as members, whenever you upload something to that drive, you'll have access to it and you'll get an email notification that something was uploaded.
Is it possible, Patrick, for those who are accessing the Sunflower to make changes in anything that's on there?
So whoever has ownership to the Tech Club's Google account can set up certain things that people can do. So there's different levels of access. You can just open it. Some people can open it and download it. Some people can open, download, and edit. So it just depends on who owns that drive and what privileges they give to the users.
That helps. Thank you.
It is very valuable when you're working with other people creating a document that you both need input or you want the other's input. You can actually share it and edit it
Together.
independently. You don't have to be sitting together to share it and work on it.
Yeah. So one cool thing about Google Sheets is if I share a Google Sheets or a Google Word doc with somebody else, we can both log into that document at the same time, and we can make changes at the exact same time simultaneously. So you don't need to go visit somebody to go work on something. You can do it remotely over the Google Drive.
Patrick, do you
Yes.
need a separate password for all these different Google accounts, or can you use the same password?
You can use the same password.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Just don't have that password stolen, because they have access to all of them.
And lately they have been warning us, if you use the same password, they'll flag it and let you know that that's a security risk.
But they won't force you.
But they won't force you to change it.
Yeah. They say that's not a good idea. And you're like, shut up, Google. Cool. All right. So let's see. What other products does Google have? So we did Docs, Word Docs, Sheets is Excel. They have Slides. So Slides is just PowerPoint, just their version of it.
Oh, they do have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Google Calendar. So this would be a good thing as well for someone who's in charge of like maybe the Tech Club events, or maybe just all the events at all the clubs or any clubs that you're a part of. You can have multiple, like you can show appointments. Here you can show like birthdays. You can share certain calendar events to people. So, sorry, my dryer was really loud. So calendar, you can share certain events, and you can put if you share the calendar with a lot of people, each person can upload their events. So if you are trying to coordinate with other people to schedule something, you can upload their schedule with your schedule, and you can find out certain times that you can work together. If you have Google, if you're signed into Google on your phone, if you update the calendar on your computer, it automatically updates on your phone, and vice versa. You update on your phone, it goes onto your calendar here.
The one thing I haven't been able to overcome with Google Calendar, and I have to use two, one for the office and I have another one, but Outlook and Google Calendar do not like each other. And I have never been able to get them to integrate one way or the other. So that's the one downside of using a Google Calendar. You can't bring it into Outlook.
Correct. Microsoft owns Outlook, Google owns Google Calendar, and they are not friends.
They do not like each other.
Microsoft not happy that Google was able to steal their Word docs, Excel sheets, and PowerPoint. So, what else we got in here? So calendar, chats. You can have chat with other people. I don't use it very often, but if someone else has a Google account, you can instant messenger to each other. You have Google Meets, which is just the Google version of a Zoom call like we're on right now. And then there's YouTube. Let's dive into YouTube real quick. So again, like I said, YouTube is owned by Google. And this is their video side of it. So you can search what big thing on YouTube is pretty much how-to videos. I can learn how to do anything by just watching a video. That's what millennials do. Everything I'm teaching you today pretty much came from a Google search at one point in my life. Anything that I want to do on Google search or on YouTube, like how to tie a tie. Anything, so big thing here is how-tos, movie previews, all of that stuff is all, any video-based stuff is going to be on YouTube. Depending on what your interests are, you can type in, need like a certain thing. So again, they make ads on YouTube. So one of the first three things, ads. So skip those. Go down to the videos. And now there's actually a page on YouTube called Needlepoint. So if you're really into needlepoint and you want some tips or some ideas, you can go to this person's page, see all the videos that they have on needlepoint, and you can subscribe. So when you subscribe to a certain page on YouTube, it is going to send you an email whenever a new video is popped up. So if you can think of something, they have a page for that, from sporting events to literally anything you can think of is on here. About 2 or 3 years ago, YouTube actually started their own TV use. I don't know what you call it. Like they're going to compete with Comcast and Cox and DirecTV. You can actually watch TV now on YouTube for a certain fee. You can upload videos. When you upload videos to here, you can set different privacy settings that only you can see them, everybody can see them, or only certain people that you choose can see them. A lot of different privacies in here. And you can also see trending videos. So if you just have some time to kill and you want to watch some videos that everyone's watching right now, these are all the most watched videos right now on YouTube. So that's pretty much all I have on Google. Any questions or things that I can help you with besides that?
Show us how to find Sunflower
Yes.
Tech Club YouTube channel.
Okay. I did hear another question out there, so
Yes, it's Marie.
Okay.
I can't see you. We've been using Google Cast on our TV.
Yes.
I don't understand everything about it. I don't know if I'm being charged for it. Are you a user?
Yep. I use Chromecast. I think that's the Google version. Like
Okay. Yes.
Chromecast.
Uh-huh. Is it, once you buy this apparatus, there's no other charges?
Yeah, there's no
Oh.
fees. So pretty much all a Chromecast is, or Google Cast, is instead of having a HDMI cord plug into your computer and plug into the TV, it's just sending it wirelessly. Yeah, so there's no
Okay.
charge or anything to that. To connect to that, so let's first find the Sunflower Tech page. So what's it called, Tim?
Sunflower Tech Club.
So I searched Sunflower Tech Club. First thing that popped up, Sunflower Tech Club. So I clicked on it. It shows all the videos right here. And if you want to subscribe to the Sunflower Tech Club, if you do that, you'll get an email as soon as a new video is uploaded to the Tech Club. So you're staying up to date on everything that's going on.
See, good.
Let's click on.
That's interesting, Patrick, because I'm seeing 6 on your screen, 6 or 7, and I know there's at least a dozen.
Yeah, so there's 6 that show up. There's an
It's
arrow.
a little arrow.
Oh, I see your screen. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. There we go.
All right, so let's click on this one. And so the video pops up. I don't know. I don't know if I can share from my computer to my TV is not on.
Your TV's not on. If your TV's on, yeah.
It'd be here to send it to your TV. But yeah, so that's how you would Chromecast to it. Chromecast is a way that you can connect your TV to your computer wirelessly, or you can do it from your phone to your TV. Your phone or computer just has to be logged into the same Wi-Fi as the TV for that connection to work.
Patrick, can't you access it on your TV directly from your TV?
Connect YouTube?
Like, couldn't you ask for Sunflower Tech Club on your TV?
Yeah, so it depends on your TV. If it's a smart TV, you may have apps on your TV. One of those apps is probably going to be YouTube. So you can go onto YouTube and from there and do the exact same search that I just did. So you don't.
We get all of our YouTube right from the TV, and it's not a smart TV.
Okay.
But it is Comcast, and Comcast is quite advanced, I think.
So, okay. So through Comcast, you have YouTube on your TV through the box.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so that's another way to access it.
Hi, Patrick. This is Don.
Hey, Don.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for hosting the meeting.
Hey, Don.
I have quite old computer hardware.
Okay.
And it's up for replacement. And at the same time, I'm up for ditching Microsoft and going to, it's all coming together real good. I can go over to Google and I have a website that I'm shutting down. So for new hardware, is there any particular hardware that's like Google Chromebook or whatever they have? Is that adequate, or should I still go with a PC, or what do you recommend?
It really depends on what you're planning to do with it. Most of the things that most people do on a computer, any book or any laptop that is made right now will suffice on what you're doing. Most people will use it for internet browsing. And maybe if you have Microsoft Office, doing Word docs and Excel sheets. Maybe if you're doing just normal stuff like that, streaming videos, any laptop will suffice. But if you're going into like video editing and photo editing and running a whole bunch of different softwares all at the same time, then you'd want a nicer computer. But if you find yourself only browsing the internet and only doing Word documents and Excels, you're going to be fine with
Docs, yeah, docs, sheets, and browsing.
Yeah, you'll be fine with any computer. Before I got into real estate, my computer I bought was $400, and I'm a techie millennial, so.
Okay, so I could just buy a low-end laptop or,
You watch a lot of videos on your computer?
no.
Okay. Yeah, so the screen quality won't matter then either.
We have a semi-smart TV. I think it's a first generation smart TV. And the last few weeks, it's just been, when I'm on YouTube, it just locks up. I actually have to unplug it to get it. And I think that's the computer in the TV.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And that's TV's probably up for replacement.
Is it older than 10 years?
I just Googled the guy that sold us this home. It was included. And I don't know, but it could be around that age.
Yeah, 7 to 10 years is your TV life expectancy nowadays.
Right. What do you recommend for if you have a smart TV, a new smart TV, a DVR feature that, how do you recommend a DVR feature for people?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't have DVR.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't watch.
Do you do consulting work?
I don't, but I do know someone who does do tech training for people.
Tech support. Okay, is that our guy Tim?
No, it's someone we both know named Ben.
Yeah.
God knows Ben.
Okay, yeah, that's what I refer people to.
Okay, great.
He's more of a millennial than I am.
Yeah, you want somebody under 20 for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm over 20. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? We all went quiet real quick.
I guess I have one more question, and I don't know how you might answer this, but there's a lot of press about Google's editing of certain types of viewpoints off of the internet. Do you have any reflections on that? Is that actually happening, or?
It's hard to say, because so that boils down back to Google's algorithm of what results show up and don't show up. So as I talked about earlier, there's 200 different criteria that Google uses to determine which website or link shows up first in their search. And that algorithm is changed about twice a day on average. They don't tell anybody what that algorithm is. So it's very plausible that during the election, they could have adjusted those algorithms to show certain things and not other things. But there's no real way to track it without knowing exactly what was in that algorithm at that certain time.
Do you think they block certain organizations more than others, like Prager University or something like that?
It's very possible that they could. Actually, on YouTube, they have been messing with certain channels and deleting and banning certain pages based on certain things. There is that going on.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, Patrick. I know you've got to run. I appreciate the hour you gave us. You were always a great presenter. Buzz Brooks, who many of us know, I think he's on, is going to present, next month. You want to give a quick Buzz, or?
Yeah, this was a great presentation, Patrick. Very helpful. I want to take some of your suggestions and then apply it to genealogy and how we use it for researching in that area. Tim, would it be able for you to share the recorded video with the people who are on here so I can watch it later?
Yeah, one thing that we didn't explain is the technical process of getting them. As you see, all our meetings since February are up on our YouTube's page. However, it does take about a day or two, depending on my schedule. It will grind a good hour and a half or two to get the HD version created. So it's usually Friday or Saturday before you see it up there. If you subscribe, though, you should get a notice. And I think, Patrick, I don't think you were misleading us, but I think it is a setting. If you can set when you subscribe whether you actually get an email or not. And so there are some pages that put new content on every day, and you'd end up getting an email twice a day. So I disable that. When you subscribe to a page, I believe when you do that, it'll give you the option to get the email or not. But at best case, just check back every few days. I have sent out that link on occasion. It's probably time for me to do it again and get people up there. We only have 8 subscribers, and I know we have 130 members, Jenny, am I right? Somewhere in there. And so, yeah, it's really not hard to record these and get these up there, and I try to do that for you. And yeah, it's always nice to go back. There's always too much information, at least for me, to remember first glance. And when I run up against something, I'll go back there and review that video. It is helpful. Or YouTube some other videos. It really is a resource, as Patrick says. He grew up on it. I'm learning to use it. Like everything else on the internet, not 100% accurate, not 100% plausible sometimes. But Jenny, you know, when I learned to present on Zoom, I learned from a YouTube video. In fact, I started to share one the other night with you, and I got tied up. It really is a wonderful resource to learn. I'm sure Buzz is going to incorporate it in his presentation next month that I'm looking forward to. So same time, same channel next month. Check in this weekend to review this video. Thank you again, Patrick, for presenting. And congratulations again on a little girl coming soon.
Thanks. If you guys have any questions, send them to Tim and he'll send them to me and I'll answer them and he'll give that information out.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick.
Welcome.
Thank you all. I do believe Deep Freeze takes care of the incognito, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, if you're still on there. If you use a computer lab every night, I believe it wipes out any passwords that have been placed on there. We use a program, so if you are a user of the lab every night, if you did forget to wipe your password or something, it will wipe it for you. Am I right, Tim, Harry? Yeah.
That is true. And what it does is basically reset the computer back to base level.
Yeah. But if you're in a public place or you're visiting your kids or friends and you just want to keep your information super private, that incognito is a great way to do it. So with that, everybody have a wonderful day.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Or a comment.
Sure.
I sent an email to the web team, our Vintage Gardeners Club, and perhaps Buzz should know about this too, is Shirley Bailey designed new web pages for us. And it was quite easy, according to Shirley. And the other clubs in Sunflower, such as the Genealogy Club, the Yoga Club, the Veterans Club, could also use the same platform. It's called GoDaddy, and update their web pages that are linked on Sunflower Living. So this is something we would appreciate the Tech Club looking into and spreading the word to the other groups and organizations. And then on this month's Suncatcher, the new management company, there's a link or an ad on the bottom of the page that says they are doing announcements on their web page. And I hope it's, I don't want to have to go to 3 different pages to find things out. Does anybody know anything about this announcement? The management.
Marie, they're using their website to do the blast. And
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, it's linked in through our web pages that we keep up with the web team. And so you shouldn't have to go to multiple sites. You will just get the blast on your computer if you signed up for the communicator.
Okay, so it'll be in addition to the weekly ones we get from the communicator?
Let me clarify something here, Buzz. There are 2 email lists that are used for sending information out. One is the list that AAM keeps us of all of the residents' email lists. And then there is the communicator subscription list. These are entirely different. So the notes that are sent out by Andrea using the AAM list will go to anybody that has volunteered to share their email address with the association. On the other hand, the communicator is a opt-in thing where you actually have to subscribe, and that's a totally different list. Also, a comment about what the Vintage Gardeners did. They actually set up their own website. And when we speak of web club web pages, these are pages that are on the Sunflower Living website, but they set up their own website, and this looks very nice. I set up several years ago a website for the Sunflower campers. And at one time, Buzz had his own website for the Genealogy Club, but he decided that was too much trouble to keep up, I guess. So he went simply to the web pages that are part of the Sunflower website. So there's a lot of communication, a lot of, well, I would say not miscommunication, but there's a lot of
moving parts
about who does what, where, and why. But anyway, yeah, a very nice looking website, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd like to comment about the Quilt Club. The Quilt Club, we tried to do more information, more input on the Sunflower website, and it was very hard to get that going. And then COVID started, and it's not user friendly. So the Quilt Club has their own website, and now everybody communicates with that instead of doing a lot of emails. But yeah, so I would like to get that link up on the Sunflower website under the groups.
Okay, all you have to do is send the information to the web team. Just say, we now have our own website, and here is the URL for the website. And I'm the one that actually will put it on the on that page on the Sunflower website. So just send us an email with the link, and we'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
And just take a look at the Vintage Gardener website. When you go to Sunflower Living, click on our website and take a look at the web pages that Shirley just did.
Wonderful.
Very nice job.
So it's vintage, just go to Suncatcher and clubs, organizations, clubs, groups, and vintage gardeners. And it'll take you right to the website. And then all the many other ones with the HOA could pay the, cover the costs of running all these things for all the groups.
That is not likely to happen. I
Is that-
guarantee you.
Is that right? Oh,
No. Yeah.
okay, I see. But do take a look. Thank you,
All right.
and thanks, Larry, for setting that up for us.
Yeah, thanks for all you do with that website, Larry. I appreciate that. I know it's a lot of moving parts. All right, well, we will see you next month, if not before. And like I say, the recording will be up here by this weekend. All right. Hope everybody has a good day. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you.